and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at the newly released Rescue Pioneer, also known as a third-party, better painted KO MPM style Ratchet. Now if you are looking to add this figure here to your collection, he is currently available and in stock right now over at the Icon store, and for that of course I shall include a link down in the description box below, and be sure to use discount code Prime vs Prime for a discount off of your total order. I will say straight away at the beginning of this review that I have no doubt whatsoever that this figure here is by far the best transformable live action movie Ratchet that we have ever gotten. This essentially takes the movie masterpiece Ratchet that we got released last year, gives it a much better paint deco, literally takes that figure, turns it from an 8 into 100. This looks so well done, and this figure also does have some modifications made to the light bar in order to create for a much more movie accurate look. Now before we take a look at Ratchet himself, we will first of all cover the accessories. The accessories are the exact same as what we got with the official Takara Tomy and Hasbro versions, although this time have been painted so much better. You can see that the colour of grey plastic that they have actually cast these in is almost gunmetal as far as its colorization is concerned, and to be honest with you, I absolutely love how it looks. We also do have some electric blue highlights here, which once again picks out some of the sharper details of the sculpt, and these tiny little bursts really does create what could otherwise have been quite a bland looking piece. We of course do have some really nice almost green highlights scattered throughout the EMP blaster, much like we saw in the movie, and then as we turn around here to this side, you can once again see some exceptional looking sculpt work, as well as that really nice looking electric blue. We of course do get included Ratchet's buzzsaw. Now I'm not a huge fan of the colour of silver that they have used. On camera it is coming across as incredibly vibrant, in person it is a little more muted, and this is probably the only instance where I do actually prefer the official over the KO, but regardless you can see that it has been painted for the most part quite nicely. All of the paint apps have come out really well, and they have not been applied too thickly so that you can once again still see some of the sharper details of the sculpt. Much like the official version, both blades here can individually spin, which is super cool. And then the final pair of accessories that we do get are indeed Ratchet's missile pods. Now of course these two have also been given a complete makeover. I believe the original versions were merely just cast out of a grey plastic, whereas this time they have had this almost off-white colorization with some really nice looking gunmetal to highlight some of the sharper details of the sculpt. So overall, as far as accessories are concerned, straight away you can already see a marked improvement, and whilst I may not prefer the KO buzzsaw over the official version, it too has still also been painted really well. And bringing in the main event himself, here we have Medical Officer Ratchet, and my goodness, has this character never looked better. The movie masterpiece Ratchet by Hasbro and Takara Tomy was by far the best transformable representation we have ever gotten for the character. I really do feel sorry for Ratchet. He has, up until the MPM figure, always received a very poor treatment as far as toys are concerned. However, I have got to be honest and say that whilst I loved the official Hasbro and Takara Tomy version, with this new paint application it just looks phenomenal. It really does look like a sight to behold. You can see how we've got some fantastic gunmetal silver there, picking out all of the intricate details there to the face sculpt. This was actually a critique that I did have on the official Takara Tomy version, as it was just completely cast out of a grey plastic, and some of this excellent detail was unfortunately washed out. As well as the gunmetal, we of course do have the really nice looking almost yellow-green highlights. Ratchet's colour scheme has always been a tricky one for me. I'm unsure as to whether or not it is more yellow than green. Here it's coming across more of an almost green colour, but it is once again rather difficult to tell, and you can see how we do have some very nice looking highlights scattered throughout the head there, and of course those very piercing metallic blue eyes, which I personally absolutely love how they look. Ratchet's mouth can also open to reveal once again some fantastic looking sculpt work, such as the vocal cords, as when we are introduced to Ratchet in the 07 movie and he does begin to speak, we do have a detailing which does resemble that, so that once again is a very nice attention to detail. And then just taking a look at the figure as a whole, you can just see that the overall colour scheme is a marked improvement. I love how it looks. It almost looks like a custom paint job. It's done that well. You can see all of the different lifeline details which have been printed here on the sides of the arms. I once again, much like the EMP blaster, love the colour of gunmetal grey that they have cast the joints in. It looks very premium and so much better when compared to the official version. The fingers here have all been completely painted as well, which too looks fantastic. This entire region has also been painted and sculpted so nicely. And then as we take a look here down to the lower section of Ratchet, you can see the silver here, which I do believe is actually plastic on this particular release, whereas on the official it was die cast. But I have got to be honest and say that just by handling the figure, it does feel slightly weightier, as I do believe they've completely directed all of the die cast here to the base of Ratchet's feet. But before we get to that region, I just very quickly want to show you some of the details here on the sides of the legs. You can see all of this has been painted. We've got once again that very nice metallic blue, and just take a look there at the sculpt work. honestly, with the new colorization, it really does give you a whole better appreciation of how much sculpt work actually went into this particular figure. And due to the feet being completely die cast, you can see how this looks very reflective, and I love how this looks. And of course, we've got the green here highlighting some of the parts of the toes. As we spin around here to the back, of course, the backpack for the most part is exactly the same, but something which they have actually changed, and for the better in my opinion, is that they've put these bracket section as well as the light bar on independent hinge joints. So if you will recall, on the official version, you could only hinge this here as one piece. So if you were to bring these pieces back, you would have to bring the light bar back, which from a front perspective did not look great at all. Whereas on this new version, you can actually independently also hinge the light bar, which just creates for a much cleaner look, and in my opinion, better resembles his appearance from, of course, the movie. As far as articulation is concerned, the head can look up and down as well as rotate left to right. The entire neck brace too is on a hinge joint, so that will accommodate a better range of motion. You saw that the mouth can open and close. We do get ball joints here for these shoulder sections in order to move out of the way to allow for a better range of motion here at the arm. So we get ratchet joints, which can bend, I would say, roughly to 90. He can also swivel forwards and backwards, full rotation here at the bicep, as well as a 90-degree bend there at the elbow, full rotation here at the wrist, as well as individually articulated thumbs, I would guess. He does have two of them, which is quite unusual, but these can hinge on their own. We also do get two hinge joints here at these three fingers. We do get a full rotation here at the waist, although it is slightly compromised due to the back kibble, and something which I'm unsure as to whether or not was intentional. It does appear as if Ratchet does have an ab crunch. Now, I have actually looked, and it is merely just the transformation joint, but this works so much better than compared to the official version, so that is a really nice touch if it was actually intentional. We do get ratchet joints kicking forwards that far, as well as kicking back to about that far. You can, of course, do the split full rotation here at, I would say, the lower thigh. We also do get a 90-degree bend there at the knee, and then finally here for the foot, these can ratchet forwards and backwards, as well as pivot side to side. So overall, as far as articulation is concerned, it is near enough spot on to the original release, and something which I have got to be honest and say is that the quality on this particular KO is leaps and bounds better than some of the other KOs that I have handled. This really does feel like an officially licensed product, and when compared to the actual Hasbro and Takara version, I have got to be honest and say that the quality of plastic as well as die cast and the sound of the ratchet joints does feel and sound so much better on this figure. And turning to the masterpiece movie Ratchet comparison, honestly, it is night and day. I almost feel sorry for Hasbro and Takara as the actual base sculpt and mold itself is fantastic, but the colorization on the official version when compared here to the KO is so poor. Honestly, it looks horrendous. I actually didn't realise how bad it looked until I got the KO in hand, as up until this point I really was not actually going to pick up the KO at all. I had no intentions to do so. I was more than happy with my official version, but getting them in hand, if I was made to disregard any of them, the official version would 100% have to go, as the plastic that they have cast the figure in is way off when compared to the movie. The new KO version just does such a better job, and I also love how the KO is completely painted. All of the green that you do see on this figure is paint, whereas this is just completely cast plastic, which when in hand looks very cheap and nowhere near as premium as you would expect from a masterpiece figure like you are seeing here with this particular KO version. As far as mold changes are concerned, once again, as mentioned, they have adjusted the light bar, so you can see how you can have the light bar resting here at the top with this bracket section folded back. Here with the official version, it was one piece, so you really only had two options, and that was to leave it like this with this section jutting out to the side, or hinging this back, which would then reveal the underside of the light bar, which I personally didn't believe looked all that great at all. And just bringing them in here for a closer look, you can just see here the comparison. As far as the face sculpts are concerned, the official just looks absolute rubbish, and you can see there as far as the plastic is concerned, really cheap looking here. This version almost looks like the KO when compared here to the actual KO, and you can see here for the legs just how much more paint we get with this new version, and just a better colorization in general. So overall, if you are given the option between the two, or perhaps you already have this version and you only want one version of Ratchet in your collection, then I would highly recommend to sell this off and to keep this figure. Or if you haven't picked any of them up, then definitely buy this version, as not only is it a better looking representation of Ratchet, but it's more accurate due to the modifications made to the light bar, and I do believe that in some parts of the world this figure is actually significantly cheaper than the official version. Of course, that shall depend on what stores have what discounts going, but at least here in the UK, the KO version is a lot cheaper, almost half the price of the official version. And here for an original 2007 Autobots size comparison, we have the new KO MPM Ratchet compared next to some of the official MPM figures, as well as of course the legendary Wei Zhang / Black Apple Optimus Prime, which I believe is an incredibly elusive figure figure to actually track down now, and at this current point, this is my definitive 07 movie masterpiece display, at least for the Autobots. I love how each and every one of these figures looks. To me, the KO Jazz and Ironhide have never really appealed, and I would only buy a KO Bumblebee if it was significantly shorter than this particular version, as to me the scale is slightly off. I do believe Bumblebee should be roughly along the same size as Jazz, but overall Ratchet will fit into any live action movie collection, especially of course if you are collecting the MPM Autobots. And so, turning to transformation, for the most part, as you would expect, it is pretty much exactly the same to the official version, although they have changed two areas. So of course one is the light bar, and they have actually slightly adjusted the size of these ports here so that they better tap in to one of the middle structures during transformation, which does make it so much easier. So to begin with, you're going to want to take the hands here and of course fold these here into the back. Repeat the same process. We can take this heel spur, fold this in and tab that there into the base of the foot and repeat the same process. We can then now take the feet, ratchet these here forwards, spin around here to the back and disengage all of this. We can then take this section, pull this around and essentially flip this over the top, bring this to the back, fold out the light bar, repeat the same process, so fold this around to allow for some clearance, push this section here through and fold that around like so. We can then hinge all of this here up and over, and then of course just attach this entire back region away, fold this clip in and just extend that and leave that there off to the side for now. What I would then recommend doing is ratcheting these sections here up, pulling these panels out to the sides. We can then take the bumper and also untab this, which I've got to be honest and say is a lot tighter on this particular figure than compared to the official. Just fold that section up and compress these two headlights here at the front so that they are slightly more in a straight line. We can then take this back panel, which stays pegged on so much better when compared to the official version. If you will recall from my original review, I did actually mention how annoying it was, seeing as any pressure that was applied to this, it would continuously pop clean off, which would create for a very unpleasant transformation experience. We'll then want to disengage this tab here from this locking mechanism, so just untap that and extend it, and then we should be able to completely rotate this around. Now this is such a nice nod, and as you can see these pieces easily popped off, but I would rather them pop off than snap clean off. This is a very nice nod to how Ratchet actually transforms in the movie. And then if we just bring this panel back on and pop that in there, you'll then want to take the wheels here and just disengage those and fold these sections out. Repeat the same process. We can then rotate the neck brace and the head all the way around so that the back of the head is now facing forward, and you can see these tiny little slots here that the tabs here on the wheels will in fact peg into. So just clip that in there and of course repeat the same process, snap that there into place. We can now straighten the windscreen out and tab that in there just so that we have it in the correct alignment for then securing all of the arms into place. So we'll then want to rotate this here around and of course come here to this side and repeat the same process. And then if we flip here to this side, you'll want to rotate these around like so that we have the backs of them. And now with this, before with the official version, these tiny little tabs would have to peg here into these slots. Now as they have made these larger, it's so much easier to actually do and really doesn't take nowhere near as much time as it did on the official. So just to demonstrate how this is supposed to go, these pieces I believe are supposed to come forwards, and then this is supposed to come around so that we are left with something that looks along the lines of this, and of course come here to this side and repeat the same process. So just bring this around and rest that there. We can then take the waist joint, rotate this here so that the front once again is facing the back. Take the legs and rotate these sections around as well. You'll then want to take these side panels and pull these out, which I've got to be honest and say is so much tighter here on this particular rendition of Ratchet than compared to the official version. And then once that's done, we should be able to extend these out, take this panel and extend that out, and of course repeat the same process. So just pull this section here out, take this here and hinge this forwards, and then we can take the legs, and now these are actually tabbed in. So the knee joint does have of course the ratchet joint, but if you push that past it, it will actually untab this section here from this section. Once that's done, of course, we can rotate this here all the way up and over and repeat the same process. So just push it past that locking point, and then of course we do have the circular port that will peg there into the foot, so snap that there securely. We can then take these panels, rotate them to the back and snap that in there, and of course repeat the same process. And then here with the arms for some finishing touches on these, we do have tabs here that will actually peg into these slots. So of course, fold this out the way, ratchet this here into its correct orientation, just clip that into place very securely. The transformation for Masterpiece Ratchet is nowhere near as complex as I remember it being when I did my initial review. Just clip all that in, ensuring that the wheels do stay firmly pegged in. And now it's just a matter of actually bringing everything together. So you'll then want to overlap. And then of course, these will peg into the sides. Spin around here to this side and repeat the same process. And then with this back plate, of course, this will come up and over and will snap into place, solidifying the entire rear section of Medical Officer Ratchet's ambulance alt form. Just pull this out of the way to allow for some clearance. And then we can take this panel here, fold this out, fold this section out, and of course repeat the same process here on the opposite side. Fold that out, rotate this around, and then with these sections, of course, you're going to want to pull that forward, snap that there into place, ensuring that it does actually sit underneath the door. And then of course repeat the same process, snap that into place as well. Just align everything up appropriately. Bring this section forwards so that this should be able to snap better into place. And then it is now just a matter of snapping the rear of the vehicle into the sides. And then with this panel, you'll then want to bring this around, scoot that under there like so, come here to this side, and of course, repeat the exact same process. So just snap, snap, snap. And then take this and of course slide that under there, just like so. And then we'll turn here to the light bar. Now for this, of course, you're going to want to hinge this section up and repeat the same process. Ensure that these do align up appropriately here with these sections. We'll spin these around so that we can, of course, actually create the light bar here of Ratchet. So just tab that there into place. And then here with the floodlights, these will come around, clip into place as well. And there we have the KO MPM Ratchet fully transformed up into his very awesome Ambulance Hummer alt mode. And so, taking a look here at Ratchet fully transformed up, much like you would expect judging from how he looked in his robot mode, this once again is a marked improvement when compared to the official version. Although of course now we do not have that amazing mechanical detail showing, I would honestly say that if you do have both of these in the collection, I personally would recommend perhaps displaying this KO version in the robot mode and then the official version in the alternate mode, as when we bring them out for a comparison, the details and the actual decals themselves don't really differ. It is merely just once again the colorization here to the green/yellow. But taking a look here at the details, you can see that as far as a KO is concerned, everything has turned out so clean and precise. There are no paint blemishes nor any misspell areas like we have seen on previous KOs. You are once again able to see some fantastic detailing here at the top, which is of course a carryover from the original version. We've got the search and rescue fire department. We also have that lifeline going across the side. Some very nice details such as the search and rescue there. As we spin around here to the front, of course we do have the floodlights, which have all come out really well. We've got transparent blue plastic used here for the windscreen as well as the windows, which I've got to be honest and say I do actually prefer when compared to the colour they used on the official. We've got the light bar, some fantastic minute details painted here, which I don't believe were actually painted on the official version. And then of course the spare wheel here on the top has also got some nice silver highlights, and the rear of the vehicle too has also been painted impeccably well, once again with no paint bleed. So overall they have done a fantastic job. I'm unsure of which company has actually produced this. I'm pretty certain that it is Black Mamba, perhaps acting under a different name. There's so many different companies creating these figures now. I do believe they are all the same company, just of course working with different names, but they have done such a nice job. And it is a pretty similar situation to the KO Starscream, where they took that mold, added a few structural changes, and in Ratchet's instance, of course, with the light bar, and gave him a much better looking paint job. For a comparison, here we have the KO version compared to the original. Now, as mentioned at the beginning of the vehicle mode segment, movement, you can see that for the most part the changes really aren't all that noticeable here, and it's merely because none of the robot mechanical detail is on show. All of the decals appear to be exactly the same. It is once again just that colorization, but how much better does this version look when in comparison to this version? And you can also see here that I was correct. We do have more paint here used at the top when compared to this particular version. So overall, to me, it is literally night and day. If you have the option to pick up one of these figures, then I would highly recommend to go with the KO version. The quality of the plastic, just the materials in general, feel great and really like an official product. It's been a very long time since I have actually handled a KO which has felt as good, if not better, than the official version. And when comparing the color scheme, as mentioned, there really is no contest. The new version wins hands down. So overall, that just about wraps up my review here for the KO Rescue Pioneer MPM 11 Ratchet. I really hope that you enjoyed this review. If you are looking to add this figure here to your collection, then he is currently available and in stock right now over at the Icon store. And for that, of course, I shall include a link down in the description box below, along with a discount code that you can use in order to, of course, get a discount on this particular figure or any of the products on the Icon store site. I would love to know down in the comment section below on what you guys think of this particular figure. Will you be adding it to your collection? Do you agree with my thoughts? Do you believe that it is a marked improvement when compared to the official version? And of course, you do have to factor in price as well. This figure looks better and is actually cheaper, so you can't really go wrong in my opinion. I thank you all for watching, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.